I'm sitting on the deck of an old, drafty, gorgeous red cabin that's kind of more ship than house, right on a hill looking out over the ocean that's full of summer sun, so bright off the water that you can't really see. And a silhouette against that brightness is a tiny kingfisher, a bird. I'm not sure what the word is in German, but in Maori, my dad is Maori, it's kōtare, the kingfisher. And the thing I love about kingfishers is they are fat and kind of stout. They've got these long beaks. They look kind of all out of whack, and then when they fish, they are incredibly accurate. Just their heads don't move and their bodies kind of swim around in the wind or whatever they're standing on, but their heads remain perfectly still, like they're anchored. This story is actually only partly about kingfishers. It's mostly about some adult-themed subjects. I tried to have a baby for 5 or 6 years with my partner, whose name was Christine. And often the first thing people say is, "Oh, she's a woman, you know, you can't do that." So we had some donors. They were friends of ours. We went through 4 different donors over this 5 or 6 years. And it wasn't easy. She wasn't so sure about being a parent. I was trying not to be pushy, but actually being probably dreadfully manipulative. It was this massive hunger in me to have a baby. It was like being starving hungry for something that you had no control over. Why did I want to put myself through this, especially at the age of 38? Anyone who's been through this might know that when you do the infertility journey, there's this cliff that happens at the age of 40 if you're looking at the graphs in the fertility clinics or the literature, and at the age of 40 there may be an ambulance down there, but it's hard to see from this height. So I was doing it for so many reasons that have only become clear later. I wanted to belong. I'm probably a slightly unorthodox person. I wanted to do something normal. I wanted to give my parents grandchildren, and I wanted to have someone or something whose needs and wants were greater than my own. I was really difficult to live with for those years because we went through a lot of very complicated, extremely emotional project management trying to make this happen. There were some comedy moments, I have to say. My partner Christine is what we call in the queer community a gold card lesbian, which means that she hadn't had much experience with men. So her job in this process, and you might like to cover the ears of any children present, her job in this process was to travel from the room where I was downstairs, upstairs to the room where our donor, our lovely friend Andrew, was, with a jar, a warm jar, and to come back with that jar no longer empty. I think you know what I mean. And the first time this happened, meanwhile I'm waiting downstairs like doing yoga, prayers, any kind of ritual I can think of that 1,000 friends have recommended, lighting candles, incense, putting them out, lying up the wall with my leg, just anything that I thought I could have any influence on this process. She came down and with this jar looking really confused, and I was like, great, come here. You've only got 20 minutes, before they start not swimming anymore. And she was like, this is all. And I was like, this is 6 or 7 millilitres here. This is enough. This is millions. My syringe. Fortunately, she didn't say that to Andrew when she picked up the jar. The whole process was full of massive ups and downs. It's a long story. This is a condensed version, as you can imagine. But this kingfisher used to visit us at times of stress. And when you are doing this yourself, you don't have the money to do it through clinics. You're using the generosity and goodwill of your friends. It's a process that intrudes enormously on their lives and their own intimacy and their own relationships. There's a lot of, it's stressful, but this little kingfisher used to turn up, not every second day, every third day, and just sit on the wire outside our house, and it was such a recognisable shape. We moved house at one point because we thought we weren't quite stressed out enough. So we moved house, and I thought, oh, that's the last time I'm going to see the kingfisher, who had become quite an important omen for me. And then the first day we had our next round of insemination with our friend Mark, the kingfisher was back. Maybe not the same kingfisher, but up on our new house, the roof of our new house. And it just kept reappearing at the most difficult times when Christine and I would be at our wits' end month after month with these massive hopes just dashed. It was like someone you love, really love, died every month. And you really love them because they've never done anything bad to you. You know, the babies that die when they're not even formed or born are the ones that you can always idealise. So, as you can imagine, this took its toll on our relationship, on my mental health, on lots of things. So eventually I decided this is that I can't keep going. And I decided to stop at the age of 43. And a couple of weeks after that, it was a very difficult decision. It was quite devastating. I couldn't say it even, really. We were out on the deck entertaining our flatmate's parents, actually, and we looked over and we just saw this glint of colour. Christine and I saw it at the same time. And you know those kingfishers, they have those beautiful turquoise and gold feathers. And it was a kingfisher, and it was lying under a tree, and it was dead. We approached it, and it couldn't have been our cat. Our cat was so lazy. Like, we still don't know to this day what happened to this kingfisher. But we both walked down to the bottom of our garden. It's beautiful green, you know, all the things they say about New Zealand are true, green bush. And we finally had something to bury. So we did. And we dug a hole in the beautiful, rich earth. And when we put the bird in the ground, this kingfisher, I remember that the feathers were still warm from the sun.